Hi, and welcome to this episode of Unleash the Dog Within. These are stories inspired by our dogs. And today I have with me a good friend and colleague, Tony Knight, who is known as the Dog Listener. And today we're going to talk about, we'll see where the conversation goes, but we're going to start off talking about Gypsy. So Gypsy is Tony's rescue dog, and I will leave it there and let Tony continue with start us off with the story, and I might interrupt with questions if that's all right.
Yeah, sure, Julie. Good to see you. Good to talk to you as usual. From the other side of the world.
I should have said that. Yeah, I'm sitting here in Edinburgh and you're in Australia. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm in rural Victoria. I'm 2 hours away from Melbourne. And so it's a winter evening here. So that's why I'm in my jumper. And it's probably about the same temperature it is with you, but it's winter here and summer for you. So yeah.
Yeah, still rub it in, Tony.
But yeah, Gypsy's story is wow. Yeah, you couldn't make it up. I mean, Gypsy basically came to my partner Hayley and I because we were doing puppy classes at a vet clinic in Geelong, which is an hour away from Melbourne, at the Newtown clinic. And they received this thing deposited at their vets in the emergency hours because basically what happened was these people that go along the railway tracks to make sure the railway tracks are free of debris, branches or leaves or whatever. They discovered a little black dog that had been hit by a train. Okay. And they saw it and they thought she's probably dead. We'll leave her to die, and then we'll come back and pick up the body. And they went off and then suddenly got a crisis of conscience. Thank goodness. I went, well, let's go back and see what we can do. So they got who the dog that is Gypsy now. I mean, spoilers. She's okay.
Yes.
But they got this little dog that she had a jaw fractured. She had got a fractured skull. She got one of her legs badly broken because she as far as we know, we still don't know where she came from. But pretty much everybody thought she was a stray dog that had been living rough for goodness knows how long and just fallen foul of trying to take on a train. I mean, she still tries to do that sometimes with cars that she sees coming up the driveway here on the farm. But she does now have at least the sense to say, yeah, get off my land, but I'm just going to keep my distance.
Yeah, I bet.
So anyway, they decided, right, she's still alive. Let's see if we can get her safe. So they went to the vets in Newtown in Geelong, deposited basically this mess with them. And the vets there, the ladies were like, she's probably not going to survive this, so maybe we should put her to sleep. And then fortunately, they also had a crisis of conscience. I went, well, we better try and do something. So basically, they made her bionic. They rebuilt her, they patched her up. And this was about $10,000 worth of work that they'd done. And so they put an advert, they got in touch with the local paper to say this dog that they named V-Line. Now I'll explain. V-Line is the intercity. It's the equivalent of intercity. So they named the dog after the train that hit her, which we didn't think was great. But that was, she came to us as V-Line. V-Line, the dog, has been hit by a train. We've patched her up. Does anybody, know her? Does anybody claim her? We've got these vet bills, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, somebody came in and paid for the vet bills. So they said, oh, is it your dog? And they went, no, we just want to pay for the vet bill. So somebody came in, an anonymous person, well, I say anonymous, they recognized the person, paid the whole lot off, and went, good luck. Now, the thing with who we will call now Gypsy was that nobody could get close to her because once she was, out of the anesthetic, if anybody tried to get close to the crate, she would.
How long was that process? Sorry to interrupt. So from when she was kind of, dumped essentially, but at least at a vet, and then taken to kind of coming out and being fixed. I know not fixed, but
I mean, we're talking a matter of a few days because basically what happened was, they got her in, they fixed her up, She came
Wow.
out of the anesthetic, and from that moment, they couldn't get close to her.
Wow.
She would snarl like, like a demon if anybody tried to get close to, so they couldn't do a thing. She ended up, going to the toilet in her crate because nobody could do a thing with her.
Yeah.
And so the usual protocol, when a stray dog is picked up, is for it to go to the local rescue centre.
Mhm.
However, the girls at the vets at Newtown thought, we don't think that Gypsy would go well here. Well, V-Line, they still called her at the time, but they said, we don't think this dog's going to go well at the rescue centre because she's really difficult to handle. Who do we know that knows how to handle dogs? Now, of course, Hayley and I have been doing the puppy and dog classes with them.
Yeah.
So they got in touch with us and said, we've got this thing that's a cross between a rat and a fruit bat that's trying to kill us. Could you look after her? Because we reckon you could help. So we were like, yeah, sure, fine, no problem. So I always remember it was a Monday morning. Hayley went to get Gypsy, and I was watching American football because obviously with the time difference, Sunday night games in America are Monday morning in Australia, and they showed them live on the TV. So I was there, great, that's my Monday morning for quite a bit of the year. Not a bad way to live. So I'm watching a game, and then Hayley comes in with this thing, and she just deposits the thing by the couch, and went, right, I'm off to work. I'll leave you with Gypsy. We named her Gypsy by that point because, we like the idea of her roaming. It was more romantic than you were hit by this train. So I'll call her Gypsy from now on. And so basically what I did was I carried on watching the football game, because one thing that I know, and common sense would tell you, we were told in advance that if you go anywhere near this crate, this thing's going to try and attack you. So knowing what I know, I thought the first thing I'm going to do is not go up to the crate. I'm just going to let her get used to being in the house now, and just think, where am I? I'm not being attacked. I'm not in any danger. Maybe I can start to relax. Because obviously and even, the vets at Newtown were guilty of this, where they were trying to make her feel at home. So they were trying to talk to her and be affectionate with her. And all that was doing was overwhelming her. She didn't know where the heck she was. And all of a sudden there's these big pink faces coming in with their hands and going, ooh, and she's going, get away from me. I've just had a traumatic experience. I don't want another one. So my thought was, let's just wait, give her some time to just get used to being here. And I just carried on watching the game. She did stink. I will say that. She didn't have pen and ink because, of course, she's covered in her own doings because I haven't been able to do anything with her. And I thought, do you know what would be a victory today is if I could just get some of that off her.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, I'm not going to put her under that pressure. I'll just carry on watching the game, open the doors so that fresh air can come in, and leave her to it. And then when she started looking around and looking at me, and I sort of paid no attention because you don't want to suddenly spook a dog that's still feeling vulnerable. Yeah, absolutely. And then I thought, right, she can see that a door's open, so I'll open the crate door, not making a fuss, and give the opportunity to go out. And so the garden's fenced off, so she's not going to get anywhere. But maybe she wants to go out to the toilet, and she trucked it out as good as gold. It was great. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. I was expecting some sort of demon here. So I thought what I'd do now is I'll go out there because she didn't seem to be afraid of me. And then I will close the door so she can't get back in straight away, and just sort of be there as a calming presence. That's one thing I thought was important. Not try and communicate with her, not try and fuss her or cuddle her. I didn't want to cuddle her anyway, she stank. But just to be that calming presence, so she can look around, look at me, and see, he's not hurting me. He's not actually really bothered. So maybe this isn't a bad thing. Maybe I can start to relax. And I mean, to cut a long story short, and I don't really want to here, but to cut a long story short, by the time Hayley got home from work, I had put her in the bath and showered her and cleaned her. And I'd had, a little bit of interaction with her, and she'd been great. I mean, she had her face taped up because they wanted to keep her jaw in place still. And she had, big, huge stitches and a gash down her leg where they put these metal pins in. So she was really sort of wobbly on her feet. But because I gave her the time, she actually made quicker progress. That's what I'm convinced of. And I think that's something that I've always found, that if you give, it's like, if you're in a hurry and you try and have a shower, you will drop the soap so many times because you're in a rush. if you take your time, you'll actually be out the shower more quickly than if you were trying to rush. It's that kind of principle. So yeah, so Gypsy, you know, she came round very quickly. So when Haley came home, I went, yep, she's here, she's clean. And Haley went, right, she's not really sure who I am, so I'll do the same thing. I'll sort of ease off. And because of that, she very quickly, you know, got used to us and started to look to us for a bit of company, which was great. And sort of then it was just about making sure that her rehabilitation went smoothly, because of course we're not going to exercise her. She's got a great big pin in her leg. She needs to learn how to walk again. And I actually got into trouble. Somebody on Facebook had really trolled me because I said, I'm not going to walk Gypsy. You know, luckily I know I don't have to walk her, so she's got time to heal. And they said, that's a working dog. You need to exercise it. You're a terrible person. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm going, but she's got a really bad leg. She needs to heal. We need to give her time to do that. I wouldn't say break my leg and go and run a marathon. And I remember this proves it was 2012. The woman said, listening to you, I wish the Mayans had been right about the end of the world. slight overreaction. And I remember one of the first films that I took of Gypsy was of her once she'd got, you know, back to normal, just dashing past the camera, just to show how, because we'd given her time, she hadn't lost all her muscle tone. She hadn't, you know, she was great. She was up and back to herself. So then what we started to do was just introduce her to the rest of the world, one bit at a time, doing some leash work. Although she gave me one hell of a scare when I took her the first time to the beach. Because where Haley lives, she's got a house in a place called Torquay, which is on the beach, beautiful area, and there's a lovely long beach. And I thought, I'll take her there. We'll do some, you know, a bit of walking just to get her on the sand, and so she could, you know, just nice and easy. Well, what happened was I had her on a long line because I wanted to give her a bit of freedom so she could go and sniff, etc. And usually I'm really good with the collar, getting the collar tight enough. But on this occasion, it was one of those collars which I really don't like, is where there's no holes to put the, you know, the metal metal thing in. It's just one of those ones where it's black plastic. Do you know the ones I mean?
Yeah.
And you sort of adjust it. Yeah, it clicks in. Yeah. Well, the problem I find with those is they can just sort of come loose. They can work loose. Yeah. As you've got a dog on the leash, and this is exactly what happened with Gypsy. It worked loose, and we got onto the beach, and all of a sudden she darted off in one direction, and I don't know how it happened, but it just came off her head. And she pinged off full pelt down the beach because she'd seen some people and another dog. And I thought, right, the worst thing I can do right now is run after her, because, you know, it's one thing. It's an understandable human reaction to think I better go after the dog. The problem is, of course, that dogs are pack animals, and loads of people know this. If you run after your dog, it will run further and then start to change direction and it becomes a game to that dog. But the dog doesn't come back to you. So what I know is that the best thing you can do is to show that dog, well, if you go, you're going to be on your own. Now, you feel safe with me and I'm here. So how about you come with me? But she was gone. She was gone, Julie. And I was like, oh no, how am I going to tell Haley that I've lost our new dog? And I was just, I'm walking. I'm not walking towards her. I'm trying to walk up and down so she can see me. And she's looking back, but then going past, going further after these people. And they're going, who's this damn dog? And I actually sat down in the sand and I went, oh, right. Well, what's my next move? And it was at the moment I sat down in the sand and looked out at the sea enigmatically, contemplating how I'm going to break it to my partner that I've lost the dog, that she came trotting back to me as if nothing had happened. Yeah. I was just like, that was exciting. Right, back with you. What are we going to do next? Right, what I'm going to do next is put you on this damn collar. And so that was like the test of my knowledge and the test of my experience. She put it to the test right then and there. And thank goodness, what I know works, because it works. But like you said, it's a panic reaction when your own dog goes off thinking, oh my God, I don't want anything to happen to her, so it was fortunate. Well, it wasn't fortunate. It was educated guess. Educated guess.
Educated, exactly. And out of interest, just for to get it straight in my head, and maybe for any viewers, is what kind of timescales are we talking about? So you had this Gypsy came, and then are we talking, I'm assuming we're talking 6 months later? I mean, she had a lot of things to heal. Yeah.
Exactly. We had to give her time to heal properly. It's only when
Yeah.
we felt that she was back, only when she was running around like nothing was happening. And the thing is, she's still now, I mean, again, spoilers, she's still around.
Yeah.
Look, we have no idea how old she is, right? Because we don't know how old she was when she arrived. We're guessing, the vets were guessing she was 4 or 5 years old. So that means that she is, she's in her teens now. So we're not sure, but even now, she's still, when she walks, she's kind of got a little twitch to her when she walks because she got neurological damage from being hit on the head by a train, which is fair enough. But yes, what we had to do is to make sure that her world was small so she could heal. And then once she was physically fit enough to be able to, go further, then I would just start taking her out on the leash just out the front of the house so she could see the big wide world, because she'd had this small area, which was our, the house and the garden. And all of a sudden, you're opening up into everything. And we didn't know what her reaction would be to, like, with cars or people or other dogs, and bicycles. And she was reactive to quite a few things. But of course, as you introduce a dog to new things and then give them the right information so they can relax, that's where we will start to see great progress. She found just going over storm drains an issue. So I filmed showing, how I got her to jump over a storm drain without a problem. Because of course, at first she's going, no, I've seen Stephen King's It. I know what's in there.
I'm not going over that.
No, exactly. There's a balloon. I want nothing to do with it. So every step with Gypsy, it was like, let's do this carefully, so that we don't freak her out. We want to make sure that, and this is the other thing about, a dog is never too old to learn a good or a bad lesson. And so with Gypsy, we wanted to make sure everything that we did with her was a positive, short but sweet lesson. She didn't feel traumatized. And if she did start to react to something, that we were there to be the calming influence. And, so I did a series of films of, her progress. And we took, the main thing, Julie, is we took our time. We were in no rush to get this right. And that's the secret, I think, to success. You don't rush it. If you take your time, you make more progress.
Yeah. And with Gypsy, when she came to you, did you have any other dogs at the time? Did you have any other dogs in the house?
No, we didn't. No, Gypsy went, Hayley did have her dog Roxy, a Shar-Pei, who she sadly lost not long before that.
Okay.
She died, she died of medical complications. And so it was almost like Gypsy came at just the perfect moment. Where we could just devote to her. She's been around other dogs ever since, because we also rescued, golden retrievers. We had Kobe for a long time, and Harvey, and we've currently got Lewis, who's another rescue golden retriever. And so she, with everything that we did, whether it was meeting new people, we took her to a family event, but we took her in the crate so she could be in, because her crate is a sanctuary. She loves being in her crate. That with dogs, people get the idea, we humanize it, that there's bars, so it must be a prison. And you mentioned a prison earlier, but Gypsy would love being in there because she felt safe. And exactly. We put a cover over it, so it was like a little cave for her. So she'd go in there quite often. So we thought, right, well, what we'll do is we'll take her cave and we'll take it to the family do, but we'll keep her in there so people stay away from her and she can stay away from people. And before you knew it, she was out on the leash meeting people. It was absolutely fine. As long as you take the precautions, anything that happened, you're not going to have a situation where, Gypsy bit someone because we thought, let's just see what happens. We didn't want that to happen because we didn't want Gypsy to be put in that situation, and we didn't want somebody to get hurt. But we've not had that. I think only one kid has had an issue with Gypsy. And no, I don't want to say that the kid deserved it, but Gypsy just had, there was this one kid, a family member, who just ran past her screaming, and she just sort of ran after him, went, "Rah." And he traumatized him to the point where he drew a picture at school, when he went back to school, of Gypsy, which was just this, how kids do those little stick figures. It's like it was a stick figure dog with massive teeth.
Oh, bless.
Which is fantastic. But only because he was running past, and Gypsy went, what's up with you? She didn't get him, she didn't mean anything by it. But it was just that was interesting what she did there. Right, maybe next time, don't run by her screaming so much. But she's a lot more chilled than she was, obviously. She's been with us for a long time now. She's been with us for 9 years.
Wow.
And now we're currently living on this farm in rural Victoria with Hayley's mum. Yeah, she spends a lot of time sleeping now because she's an older lady.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's get up, have breakfast, go to the toilet. That was my morning sorted. I'll see you in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And and only, before I came to, to talk with you, I just called her to me and we had a little bit of a mess around and a little bit of a scruff. She likes doing that. And she makes these really sort of, vicious sounding noises.
Yeah.
But it's just play with her. And I like doing that. I like giving her that, that stimulation of let's mess around for a little while, because she doesn't want to go for a long walk.
Yeah.
She'll have a little potter around the farm, and sometimes she gets a little bit overexcited about the chickens that are cooped up. Yeah. And then, she suddenly goes, oh yeah, that's right, I used to live off the land. Here's some food. So she's got that instinct, all dogs have got it, but she's got that experience as well of surviving. Yeah. So, we have to sort of, sometimes with that, when she won't come, we just sort of round her up and put her back in the house, and she'll suddenly, go, what? She's like a computer that won't work, that says fatal error 411, and you turn it off and on, and they go, what was the problem? There was never a problem. I have no idea what you're talking about. She's kind of like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you say about Gypsy, and I guess this is maybe for everybody with all of our dogs, is that we just get to know our own dogs. We just get to know our own dogs and what they are like by listening to them and understanding them and accepting them for who they are, not what you think a dog should be or what the experience of having a dog should look like. I think maybe that's the advantage, you could even say, of having a rescue, is that you tend to have less. Like when you got Gypsy, you were like, okay, well, this could go either way. We don't even know if she's going to survive, really, when you first got her.
Yeah, there was that possibility.
Yeah, so you're kind of, it seems to me, you're taking each day as it comes, and you're going, okay, well, she arrived and everyone said she was going to bite me, but she doesn't seem like she's going to leap out of a crate and bite me. No. Yes, if I go and trap her, then she presumably would bite you. Most dogs would. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Most dogs wouldn't. So it's kind of this process of taking it one day at a time, one day at a time. And now, 9 years later, you've not like cured her of something or created some sort of perfect dog, or she's still Gypsy. She still had the experience that she had from the moment she was born, and that will never change. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing, the idea of the perfect dog. Look, we know the perfect dog doesn't exist. Lassie was 3 male dogs and there were outtakes, so and it's a very good point you make, that Gypsy is Gypsy. Dogs have a personality, as you say. Anybody that's listening to this that's got a dog knows their dog has a personality. They understand the dog's personality. They may have had dogs of the same breed over the years. They know they're not clones. Each dog has got its own distinct personality, just as as we have. And it's part of the fun of it, I think. You could get a dog that's absolutely perfect, that does nothing wrong, but they're plastic and you put batteries in and you turn them on and turn them off again, and they're dull. When Gypsy does the thing with the chickens, we're like, oh, here she goes. She's thinking she's on the prowl again. And she's run a little track around the chicken coop where she just runs around going, oh, chickens. Oh.
Yeah.
And so it's entertaining. We know she can't get to the chickens, so it's entertaining. We think, well, that's her exercise for the next week. So we'll go and get her, bring her in, and she'll go, yeah, I'm tired now. I'm exhausted. So I love Gypsy's personality. She's great. And she's been great pretty much, I would say, from day one. Like, she never once made any move to bite me at all. Hayley neither. We did the right thing with her. We gave her the right information and we took our time with her. And she's been a fantastic dog. And she has those little idiosyncrasies that makes her who she is, which is the dog that we love. And, people that have dogs and love dogs don't love them because they look a certain way. It's because of how they are. It's, the connection we have with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing. Yeah. And so we were lucky to get Gypsy, and Gypsy was lucky to get us, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, Gypsy was very lucky.
I think you were luckier.
Well, I wasn't the one hit by a train and nearly left for dead, and then they can contemplate putting her down. She had 2 great strokes of luck there, and then the third one was meeting us, and she's been a great she's been a great learning curve for how to deal with, you know, a dog whose past you don't know. That's the thing as well. So many people will, you know, speculate as to a dog's past and whether that's going to affect them forever. You could guess. She was like, you know, unknown.
Yeah, like a
You know,
blank
was
sheet.
she, yeah. Was she stray? How long has she been stray for? Was she living with somebody? Was she abused? Because, you know, there were times where, for example, I remember Haley once brought in some canes to put in the garden, you know, and she just had them lifted up, and Gypsy saw that and screamed and ran into a crate. And we went, maybe she's been hit, or maybe she just thinks that's strange. We don't know. Yeah. And so there were little things where you're thinking, what happened to you? The great thing, of course, as you know, is that actually doesn't matter.
That's the key.
Because dogs live in the present moment. And what we thought was, the moment that Gypsy's with us, let's give her an environment that she's going to feel relaxed in. And so she can be herself. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that we've got a zombie. It doesn't mean we've got a robot. Gypsy's got a very strong personality. And I mean, a recent one was when we got some lambs, because, you know, this is a sheep farm where we are, and newborn lambs, and one was struggling. And, you know, you get that. You get lambs that don't make it. They're too weak. And there was one that we were trying to keep warm and keep fed. And we brought it into the cottage, and it was in a basket by the fire. And Gypsy, as soon as she saw this lamb, was like, oh my God. And she was trying to mother it, and she was trying to lick it. And if Haley got too close to the lamb, Gypsy was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And we've never seen her like that, but it's like something flicked in her brain, and she was like, I've got to look after this thing. She was obsessed with this lamb. Unfortunately, the little thing didn't make it. It didn't last the night, but we'd never seen that in Gypsy before. But it was such a sort of strange kind of overprotective mother vibe that she'd never given us before with anything, but with this little lamb she had. And so, you know, every so often you get a new sort of glimpse into how she thinks, just because you're putting them in different scenarios. Yeah. So yeah, she's awesome. She's great, Gypsy.
Yeah, she sounds amazing. And one last thing before we finish up, that it just kind of came to me was, you know, you've obviously got a relationship with Gypsy, and Haley has a relationship with Gypsy. And I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, that those relationships are different. You know, the relationship that Gypsy has with you and the relationship she has with Haley will be very different, because I think it's important to kind of understand that, you know, how you are with your dog and how the rest of the family is with your dog will be different. Like, it's not the same relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that Gypsy is an awful lot different with Haley than she is with me. She will challenge Haley in slightly different ways from time to time, but that's of course because Haley's a girl and so is Gypsy. So, you know, there's that dynamic, you know, like a mother-daughter syndrome, father-son. There are sort of like, we're the same gender, so you're a different proposition. I get away with a lot more, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, and her relationship with Haley's dad was great, because unfortunately we lost Haley's dad last year. This is one of the reasons we're at the farm, because he got ill. And we came to the farm to help out, you know, while he started to, you know, the cancer was getting to him. But he couldn't sleep in the bed as normal because of his condition. So he'd sleep on a mattress in front of the fire. And Gypsy was always there. We would leave her of an evening at their house, because our cottage is the other side of the driveway. Gypsy would, as soon as he's on the floor, she'd snuggle next to him, and she wouldn't leave his side. As soon as the mattress was down, she's on it going, right, you and me.
Yeah.
And and Neville had an amazing relationship with Gypsy, because, you know, mainly because he gave her treats. You know, she had him wrapped around her little finger. She'd just sit in front of him, look at him with those little eyes, go, look, I got hit by a train, and he'd give her chips. You know, so
I love it.
So when he was ill, she was there for him. She was, you know, always wanted to come straight over to be with him as much as she could. It was, you know, it was incredible.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, how these different relationships work, and none of them, you know, none of them are right and none of them are wrong. You know, there might be, you know, you might be like, oh well, you know, it's probably not a good idea to give a dog chips all the time. But do you know what? That's their relationship, and it works, and they're happy. They both get a lot out of it, and so therefore, that's amazing. That's what it's about. You know, that's what our relationship with our dogs, to my mind anyway, is about. It's about finding what works for you and the dog. And,
Mm.
you know, like with my dog, there's three of us, four humans and one dog, and we all have different things that we do. And, you know, sometimes I'll be like, kids, don't do that. And they're like, we're just going to wait till you're not here and we're going to do it anyway.
And then do it anyway.
Yeah. So I'm like, and Fudge knows that. So I'm
Yeah.
like, do you know what? It's your relationship. As long as nobody's getting bitten.
You can always tell who's the dog has trained. I think that's it, you know?
Yeah.
You've been trained by the dog. You've been trained by the dog. It ain't going to work with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, right, Neville, you do that. Fair enough.
Yes, exactly. Everybody's happy. It's all good. It's all good. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I will, I'll just stop recording now and say what I wanted to say actually before we do that is, if anybody listening to this is interested and wants to get in touch with you with regards to how you helped, how you went about helping Gypsy, how you knew what to do going about helping Gypsy. As I said in the beginning, you are a dog listener by trade, you could say.
Yep.
And so if anybody finds themselves in that situation, how can they get in contact with you?
Sure. Well, I've got a website still, which is www.tonyknightdoglistener.com.
Cool.
And Gypsy's story is actually the main story in my ebook, all about rescue dogs, which explains the tips about how to have a rescue dog, what to do right, what to avoid. And the great thing about the ebook is it's got lots of films, and I already mentioned the films that I was doing with Gypsy. I put them into the ebook so you can click and watch the Gypsy's progress from day one. And I've got the film from day one when she first arrived to all the extra things. And she really helped me to understand rescue dogs better. And I've put all that knowledge and experience into the ebook, which I think if people have got a rescue dog and they want to, find out how they can give that dog the best life, because we all want to. That's the whole point. When you get a rescue dog, we want to give them a good life. And sometimes there are little pitfalls and little traps that we fall into, which can make it worse. And are you still there? Yeah. So I just thought I'd lost you there for a minute. And my phone's about to die. So this is the perfect time for us to say goodbye. And so, these are the things that I've learned, the things that I've put into place to make Gypsy the legend that she is now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Brilliant. So if anybody's listening, you know where to get hold of Tony. And most of you, if you're listening to this, will know me and where to get hold of me. So thank you very much, Tony, for your time. Very much appreciated. And
it's a pleasure, Jilly. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we'll see each other in the flesh.
In
again.
actual real life. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, that would be exciting. Thank you very much. Bye for now.